Welcome to Revenue Boost, a marketing podcast, the most valuable resource for business leaders who need a boost in revenue and business growth. I'm your host, Kerry Curran, and with over 20 years of marketing agency experience driving client business growth, I now run RBMA, Revenue-Based Marketing Advisors, where we help businesses like yours effectively scale revenue growth. Visit revenuebasedmarketing.com or connect with me on LinkedIn today. In this episode of Revenue Boost, a marketing podcast titled The Authenticity Advantage, Driving Engagement and Revenue with Curated Creator Content, I speak with Erin Gagnon, Managing Director of BrandCycle. If you're not familiar with BrandCycle, it's an award-winning, tech-powered agency offering brands an all-inclusive influencer partnership solution. With a pre-vetted network of over 7,000 creators across key social platforms, they provide a fully managed, done-for-you service that streamlines your influencer campaigns and drives impactful results. Their mission is to make influencer partnerships more accessible, engaging, and lucrative for everyone involved. Erin and I discussed how brands can harness the power of creator-driven content to boost engagement and drive sales. We talk about how authentic real-life product endorsements on platforms like Meta, TikTok, and YouTube actually outperform traditional ads by building trust and fostering stronger audience connections. We also dive into performance-based models using affiliate links, trackable codes, and measurable results that enable brands to align creator partnerships with their revenue goals. This episode is packed with insights on leveraging authenticity to build credibility, enhance brand visibility, and achieve measurable growth. Let's go. So welcome, Erin. Please introduce yourself and tell us a bit about your background and expertise.
Thank you so much. I'm really happy to be here. So my name is Erin. I am the general manager here at BrandCycle. I have been with BrandCycle pretty much since inception. We are 9 years old, and we are an influencer and creator and content network. We work with about 7,000 mid to long tail social media influencers and content creators and about 600 brands. We work on both the affiliate performance model as well as with paid partnerships. Prior to joining BrandCycle, I had a background in a bit more traditional media. So I started out in newspapers and I went into PR after that, but have been in performance and influencer for almost a decade now.
Excellent. So I know you're saying you had a front row seat to the birth and evolution of the influencer space. So talk a bit about how you've seen that evolve and kind of what's been like the most interesting to you in that time.
Yeah, I think so. It's interesting to track the growth of influencer with really the organic growth of BrandCycle. So, when we were founded in 2015, the conceptual idea behind our company was really publisher representation, specifically in performance marketing back then, but content publishers. We came out of the idea for BrandCycle came out of an agency at the time, and agencies represent brands, and publishers were coming to the agency and saying, "Hey, can you help me? Like I want to work more closely with this brand. I want a better commission rate. I want a paid opportunity. I want product gifting and all of that good stuff." And the agency really couldn't do that, right? They can't be the buyer and seller agent for that. But there was a massive need because we had a lot of smaller creators who were generating a lot of revenue, but the proportion of their revenue part, like the overall budget, was small. And so there was really a need for a company to come in and advocate for this community, to kind of roll up their collective power and to put technology behind that to help them enable to establish those partnerships. And back then, it wasn't it wasn't influencers, it was bloggers, right? We worked with a lot of, mommy bloggers in the early days. And as time has gone down, just more and more, you move from long form bloggers to it's now, 95% of our user base is, social first or social only. And so that is where content is being created. And those are where stories are being told about brands' products.
No, and it's becoming an increasingly important and impactful part of a lot of brand strategies. So talk about, from your perspective, why influencers have become so impactful and how it really plays a role in the media mix.
Yeah. So I think it's twofold, right? There's the authenticity bit, right? So the creators are using the products that they're talking about all day long. They're using it for themselves. They're using it for their families. They just understand it, and they're talking about things that they love, and you really can't buy that. And then the second part of that would be their engagement, right? So our creators are really good at creating those community conversations in a way that mass media has sometimes struggled, right? So getting the people who read them, who buy from them, who make buying decisions based off of them, talking to them, getting their firsthand feedback on what they're promoting, what their experiences are with the product, creating those conversations, creating that safe space to have those conversations. Influencers are just really, really good at that in a way that sometimes larger publications seem a bit disconnected from that.
Definitely. And so I know a lot of brands look at influencer more as a PR play or an upper funnel and maybe just a fee-based approach. But talk about how you've seen that more affiliate integration with the influencers and creators, and kind of the value of that. Like, really, why should brands look at that approach as part of their strategy?
Yeah. So I know you're particularly interested in, how marketing drives revenue growth. And I think this is like the perfect example of exactly how it can do that. So influencers are great at top of the funnel content, right? They are great at highly editorial, beautiful videos and content as well. But the type of creators that we work with who are more mid-tier, we definitely work with some micro influencers too, but the creators that we're working with have community sizes anywhere from 10,000 to 750,000, kind of that mid-tier community size. They are also, they are thought leaders with their communities, and they create that FOMO, and they actually can help brands drive sales, right? And so they are typically, especially the larger ones, are still expecting a payout structure that is not commission only, right? In the sense that if they're creating original imagery, if they are, writing long form content, the commission alone is not going to be all that they need, but they can drive that sales. So the disconnect that influencers can only do top of the funnel is it's just not the reality. Like, we're already in that space. And I think that's surprising to some people.
Yeah. Well, I always thought, my perspective is, to your point, it also gives you that measurement, right? So you can really see which creators are driving sales. They are impacting your revenue growth. And then you can optimize or lean in and continue to build the relationships with those. So I agree. I think it's such a smart strategy for brands to at least test into that approach, and not just that fee based.
Yeah. And prior to going into performance marketing, I was in PR, right? And so I fully understand having to go back to your client and tell them your value or justify your value, right? And this is all trackable. There is no guesswork in what the value of the creators when you are also, you might be working with them on a feed, but if you're also using an affiliate link or a coupon code that you can track, there is also performance behind it.
Yeah. And so with BrandCycle, like, talk a bit more about kind of the platform and how you make it easier for brands and creators to build those relationships.
Sure. So we'll start with creators first, because we are creator centric, and we want to ensure that they're getting everything that they need. So for creators specifically, it's entirely overwhelming. And then
Yeah.
the industry also includes a lot of jargon. And if you want to say, so I always use the example, say you are a health conscious creator, right? Or
Yeah.
you're a creator that is really into fitness and you want to promote, Nike, and you want to promote Lululemon, and you want to promote your favorite water bottle, and you want to promote your favorite yoga mat. To find those partnerships, whether they are direct partnerships, product gifting, or affiliate partnerships, you have to go 7 different places. You have
Mm-hmm.
to get someone to listen to you. You have to say you establish relationships with 4 of them. Then you're still going to 4 different places for reporting, 4 different places for building your campaign, for tracking that campaign, all of that good stuff. So a platform like BrandCycle, we do all that for them in one place, right? So there's one set of logins, instant access to 700 brands. We're negotiating the higher commission rate. We're negotiating those paid partnerships. We're negotiating those gifting opportunities. And so it just really makes it easier, and also easier
Mm-hmm.
for them to grow their businesses, right? So we provide a lot of thought leadership, a lot of hand holding, a lot of how to get those micro creators from a community size of 1,000 to 10,000, and 10,000 to 50,000, et cetera, and really growing them.
Mm-hmm.
And then for brands, we manage the mid to long tail so you don't have to, right? And we're also, it's full service. So there are a lot of brands who they might have an in-house team, but they don't have, they're at capacity for their in-house team, or maybe they have, TikTok relationships, but they haven't really done much on Facebook or YouTube or whatever it might be. Working with a partner like BrandCycle, we are full service. So you give us your KPIs, and we can manage everything else for you. And we can also manage that with an eye on return, if that tends to be a KPI that you care about.
Yeah, no, it sounds like such a great opportunity for the creators that want to get better and stronger at like what they're doing and grow their network so that they can be more impactful, but also you're making it easier for the brands to work with them as well. So it should be a smooth and easy process there.
That's the hope and the dream.
Great. So I love, what we talked about is being very creator centric, and I know that creating that safe space, that growing space for the creators, has been a huge differentiator for you. And with that advocacy, you do an annual survey to see kind of how are they doing, how are the creators doing. So talk a bit about the insights and the questions that you ask, because I think this is really important and shows kind of they're not just, the creators aren't just talent that you hire, like they really are passionate, and you want to make sure they have what they need.
Yeah, absolutely. So we survey our creators every single year. We do it annually in September. So we just did this, not too long ago. And we ask them a range of questions. Obviously, we ask them how we're doing, but more importantly, for the future of their work, we ask them what challenges their businesses are facing, and what are they thinking about, and what is keeping them up at night. And sometimes the answer to that is not exactly what you would think. So when we just asked our creators what their biggest challenges were that were facing their business, the biggest one that popped up was social media algorithms, right? So
Mm-hmm.
70% of the creators who responded to our survey said that they were constantly challenged by algorithms, and whether or not their content was being seen, and what they could do about that, and then whether they could do anything about that. And that is consistent year over year. It's not going away. It's getting just as it was top of mind last year. It's top of mind this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's interesting. We can help our creators understand algorithms, understand how they work, and how to best approach them. But another thing that we really do for our creators is help them to think about their work as a business, right? And so if you're a creator and you only have one platform, so say you're a TikTok creator, that
Mm-hmm.
might not be the best business decision for long-term health, right? In the sense that you will always be beholden to what TikTok decides to
Right.
do in terms of showing your content. So we really encourage our creators to be multi-platform, to have their own websites, to collect emails and send emails, or think about some of the future of platforms which are not algorithmic based, right? So dedicated messaging platforms or safe spaces or email marketing platforms. I think it's really interesting that that is their top concern.
This episode of Revenue Boost, a marketing podcast, is brought to you by Kriglu. Want to boost customer acquisition while saving time and money? Meet Kriglu, an AI-powered omnichannel bid management platform designed to optimize your ad spend. Kriglu intelligently adjusts bids across channels, ensuring your ads reach the right audience at the lowest cost. Plus, with its automation, you'll free up valuable time to focus on your business. The result? Efficient, cost-effective growth, all while maximizing your marketing budget. Ready to scale smarter and faster? Visit Kriglu.com, Kriglo.com, and start saving today. Yeah. It makes sense. I mean, I see it myself when I'm trying to promote the podcast, for example, and I'm like, sometimes something gets 1,000 views and sometimes it gets 300, and then you have to tweak it. And yeah, I mean, right now I'm just one platform, but I see the value, to your point, of helping them and coaching them to kind of expand their reach.
And it's even worse for when a brand is trying to work with a creator on a paid campaign. So we had a creator who was just cast for a paid campaign. Their original content received, like 1,000 views, and their follow-up content received 10,000 views. It wasn't that the content was like that much better the second time around. It was that the original content went out on a Monday, and the engagement there. I mean, that's part of the reason. But it's just some of this is a little bit of a we all have to figure it out together. And so brands being understanding of that, or like understand the challenges there, and working with creators through that is definitely helpful.
And so what were some of the other questions that you asked and insights that you were able to collect?
Yeah, so specifically more for that question, we also found that creators, which was kind of new to this year, they are increasingly concerned or worried about competition within their own competitive set, right? So as influencers become more and more prevalent and part of the marketplace, there's a lot of focus on, well, how can I differentiate myself from other creators? How can I get brands to see the work that I'm doing? How can I find new opportunities while still maintaining authenticity? Authenticity also came up as something that they struggle to balance, especially when they're thinking about monetization, or even when brands approach them and want to work with them. It's just something that they definitely think about on a daily basis.
Yeah. No, and that makes a lot of sense. And we're seeing it becoming more and more competitive. And so what are some of the other valuable insights that you were able to get out of the survey?
Another question that we asked within the survey that I think is important for marketers more generally is we asked our creators what strategies were most effective in maximizing their influencer marketing efforts. And for the creators specifically, they found the social media tools was the top answer. So in terms of analytics, content planning and scheduling, etc. And SEO was the least common choice for all creators who completed the survey. So that is also interesting in the sense that, a lot of influencer marketers are not using SEO as prevalently as other marketing channels. I thought that was pretty interesting. They were also talking about, texting and SMS, giveaways, researching trends, those type of things were really helping them to grow their business.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. And so you talked about one of the bigger year-over-year trends was just the creators dedicating more time to their efforts. Like, talk about kind of what you've seen from that perspective.
Yep. So last year, we found that our creators finding the time to dedicate to their efforts was of a more concern than it was this year, right? In the sense
Interesting. Yeah.
that as their businesses grow, they're dedicating more time. It's becoming less of a side gig and more of a full-time gig, which I think a lot of people can assume that, but like showing it in data too, right? That people are taking this side hobby, side hustle as a full-time job, where not only is it a full-time job, a lot of our creators have contractors and people that help them. Is definitely something that we're seeing grow over time.
Yeah, well, it's definitely, as you've had this front row seat to this industry, really explosion. So it's definitely fascinating to watch, again, how prevalent it is. So for brands, like what would be your recommendation for a brand to kind of get started with your brand cycle or thinking about influencer partnerships that go beyond just that upfront fee?
Yeah. So I think the number one thing that, depending on who you decide to partner with, whether you're partnering with a creator themselves, you're partnering with a more full service partner like BrandCycle can be. If you're partnering with, a marketplace where you're going to find creators and they're going to help on the tech side, the number one thing that you think would be a no-brainer, but you'd be surprised the amount of partners we work with that haven't really fully fleshed this out, is understanding what your goals are as a company before approaching the influencer, right? So really understanding what success looks like. There are a lot of partners that are curious. I call them like influencer curious, right? Like they're curious. They've heard it's the thing. They want in. They want to understand, but they haven't really fully thought internally about what they want the creators to accomplish for their business. And it can be really hard for the creators themselves or partners such as BrandCycle to back out that success with strategy unless you give us the success metrics. So that's definitely, if you have that very clear from day one, you're going to have a much more likelihood of having a successful campaign, whether it be a short-term or long-term campaign.
Yeah. No, that's so important. Definitely. If you don't know what you want, you're not going to be able to really articulate it, and the creators, they're not mind readers. So it definitely makes sense. I talk to a lot of people in the influencer space, and one of the top challenges that just keeps coming up is brands wanting to control the script and the content and the need for just let the creators create. Are you seeing that getting better, or do you think?
Yeah, sometimes. I think it kind of depends. We are seeing it get better in pockets. But especially when you're working with creators like ours who have a history of also selling on a performance model, they truly do know what will get their followers to buy your product. So being too prescriptive with that, it's just not helpful. Now, I get it from the brand's point of view. Like there's certain ways they don't want their brand talked about. There are certain guardrails that they want to put up, for sure.
Yes.
Like let's definitely
with brand safety guidelines, of course. Yeah.
But outside of that, they truly do know like their community is the best, and even more than me. Like I can't. I spend all day every day with them, and I still couldn't talk to it as well as they could themselves.
Excellent. Well, this is great, Erin. Any other tips or recommendations for brands or creators in the space?
If I'm thinking about any other tips for brands or creators, I would also say just like have fun with it. I mean, it's a really fun channel within the marketing space. There's so much creativity. There's so many different directions it could go. One size does not fit all, and really, it's fun, right? Like I think we sometimes forget like what creator actually means. And so, I would say have fun with it, and especially if we're talking about holiday, just let it's just really fun where the campaigns can go.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Erin. This has been great. Always great to talk with you. So thank you for your time.
Me too. Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Revenue Boost, a marketing podcast. We have more valuable content coming up, so be sure to subscribe to Revenue Boost, a marketing podcast, so you don't miss out. To connect with me, Kerry Curran, and learn how you can boost your revenue or listen to past episodes, visit revenuebasedmarketing.com.